Now, for many young black footballers growing up in England in the late 80s and early 90s, finding a player they could relate to wasn't too difficult, with John Barnes and Ian Wright being some of the biggest stars. But in Scotland, such figures were few and far between. Chris Iwelumo and Kevin Harper were both black players who came up through the system. As part of our ongoing coverage to mark Black History Month, they've been telling the BBC's Jonathan McKeith, a former Dundee United youth player himself, about the barriers they faced.
I remember walking out for St Mirren against Dundee, and there was a father. He had his son and daughter in his hand, and the names that he was calling me. He's calling me the big black B, you N this, and...
How old were you at that time?
I was 17, 18 years old.
Even though this was just at the start of Chris Iwelumo's professional career, racial abuse coming up in the Scottish game was all too familiar, and it wasn't just on the terraces.
I'd scored an absolutely peach of a goal worldie, but my first touch had put their striker through, and the managers went, "You big black B." A person of authority, someone that you had complete respect for, speaking to you like that. I never played against another black footballer, from under 12s to under 18s. Ian Wright, John Barnes. That's who I was out in the playground, you know. When I came into English football, you realise where you've been, how you were very much on your own north of the border.
When you delve into the history books, there is something which isn't widely known.
It was Scotland which in 1881 gave football its first black international player. Andrew Watson depicted here in recent weeks to preserve his legacy, and all just a short distance from Scotland's national stadium.
Watson captained the country in a landmark 6-1 victory over England, but it would be more than 120 years before another black player represented the men's team. This month, the Scottish Football Association launched a number of initiatives to combat racism and promote equality. Former Hibernian player Kevin Harper believes it should be a priority.
At that time, there wasn't many black Scottish kids that came through the ranks. For there not to be as many coming through in football, there must be an issue there. To have that steady stream of good quality players, it has to be a grassroots thing.
Pulling on the jersey, you know, singing the national anthem, the goosebumps, and you felt you could just cry. It's the greatest honour for any footballer.
Pioneers come from different beginnings and show us what can be achieved, but they're also a reminder of how far the Scottish game has to go.
I'm black, I'm Scottish, I'm proud of who I am.
Jonathan McKeith, BBC News.